So, today is the 21st of February, and on this day in 1848, this book was published, The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. And yes, I do possess it because you can see it right there. It's a great book, and it's famous, of course. The slogan is workers of the world, or proletariat of the world unites, and then popularized as you have nothing to lose but your chains. It's of course coming massively under threat in America. It seems every day people are just attacking the ideas of socialism, of communism. We're all reds under the bed, the red menace. It's like the days of McCarthy here. You know, you see the same stuff with critical race theory, where seriously, conservatives are losing their minds over this, but also using it to political advantage to win seats by scaremongering with these fake attacks on something that really is not happening in schools. These kids are not going into, 6-year-olds going on to kindergarten and the teacher saying, well, today, kids, I'm going to indoctrinate you with critical race theory. No, this is not happening. And the way that they attack it, of course, is they say, well, it's masked by diversity, inclusion, and equity. It's like, oh my gosh, don't you realize that making people kind of more equal and maybe helping people who need helping hands and maybe thinking of ourselves as one society would be a good thing? Yeah, try and explain that to some of these nut jobs and you won't get very far. But anyway, that aside, I want to celebrate the publication of that book. I have enjoyed reading it. It says a lot to us to this day, including issues about globalization and capitalism generally, and the means of production, and so many things. It's a short book. I mean, look at it. It's not very thick. It's not very hard. Of course, the first printing was in German. It didn't become printed in English until, I don't know, it was 5 years later. Maybe it was 1850. Maybe it was only a couple of years. But it sort of fell out of favour, and then it rose again as Marx became more internationally known. And of course, as I may have mentioned before, Karl Marx is buried in my home borough of Camden in Highgate Cemetery, and I think there's an inscription on there with this huge bust of his head there that says, workers of all lands unite. And yeah, that's a great idea. We should do that. And that's, maybe the pandemic is telling us a thing or two about this as well, about essential workers, not just workers. So that's why I decided to make this cocktail today, the Miracle Worker. I like the idea that we're finally recognizing that people who work hard maybe should be recompensed for that, not just the people who own companies or who have inherited a whole load of money beforehand. So it all sounds good, it all fits together, but let's go ahead and make this drink. It is in fact a rum drink. We're going to use gold rum and 2 ounces of that. 1, 2. Second ingredient is going to be Dubonnet, and I'm using Dubonnet red. It's kind of good for having some sort of red tinge to this, and the red menace and all the rest of it. 1 ounce of that, like so. And then we need some Luxardo or any brand of Maraschino Liqueur. And the recipe calls for, it was made in Britain. The version that I saw was by someone called Jason Clapham, and it calls for 2.5 mils. That's hard to measure. I may have mentioned this before. That's approximately half a bar spoon. And this drink doesn't hurt by having an extra splash of that maraschino liqueur in there at all. In fact, it makes it quite delicious. And then the final ingredient is just a dash of Angostura bitters, like so. So that'll make it a little redder as well. I'll go in my t-shirt, the Communist Party, the party. I love this t-shirt, it's one of my favourite designs. We give that a nice good stir. Like I said before, it's about 20 seconds, bruising the ice, making the drink chilly, makes that wonderful noise. I've got Nils Fram playing in the background. I don't know if it goes with the drink. I don't know if it quite goes with Marx's thought, but there we go. And then this is a late night sipper drink. So what we're going to do is do one of these large ice cubes that are really good. You're just going to plonk that into the glass like so. Because what that does, it means it stays cold, stays delicious, doesn't get too diluted. wouldn't want to be having a weak drink if you're celebrating Marxism and the Communist Manifesto now, would you? And also celebrating workers, and I'm quite happy to do that. Just pour this delightful looking drink into your old-fashioned glass with a big ice cube, like so. And the ingredient, it was very specific about the garnish. It's not just a maraschino liqueur, but it is a skewered, can you see my little skewer there? Skewered maraschino cherry. So I am going to skewer this there. There's only one, not one of those 3 ones. I wouldn't want to get too excessive here. That sounds a bit elitist, doesn't it? And there you see, that looks delightful, but I'm fairly sure I'm going to move that in there, otherwise I'm just going to wind up with a cherry down my t-shirt. Let's see what we've got. Oh, that's an excellent drink. Cheers, comrade.